1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Let's take a walk. Let's talk about September 10th, 2025. Welcome to San Miguel TV, everybody. Or somebody, whoever's out there, taking a late night walk to get shit off my chest. Because it's a lot going on right now. It's just a lot of shit going on right now. And I want to talk about these things. I want to talk about these things with you. San Miguel TV. Trying to hype myself up because I'm a little down. I just witnessed something that was really, really traumatizing with this Charlie Kirk thing. Political violence. Political assassination. Well, assassination is political, so you don't have to say it. It's implied in the word assassination. It's political violence. It's when you get to the point where you can't do anything against the opposition by just trying to sway people and by your policies and things of that nature. Now you have to go to the point where you have to win or overcome, overpower, or dominate by eliminating that idea, because it's an idea. It's an ideology that comes from political policies. You know, when we're talking politically here. Charlie Kirk was part of something called Turning Point USA, a conservative right-wing network that speaks on political topics or entertainment topics to a lot of different things. The man, Charlie Kirk, was a Christian conservative, Trump MAGA supporter, you know, red all day, you know, which I can agree with this man on a lot of things. And I wanted to talk about some of those things with you guys because I think that there's been a railroading and a vilifying of white Republicans, white Christian conservatives. I've been doing that since I was a Hebrew Israelite. So I know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. And a lot of y'all out there know. I'm going to put all the comments on. How are we going to set this up right now? I'm over here in the shadows and shit. Trying to see how I can set up over here because I don't want to be in the crib. I might go up there later anyways, but anyways, let's get in the light over here. Let's just guess we can do that. Oh, you know what? Is this a little higher right here? It might fall. Savan. It's been a crazy day. I'm over here reading about the school, the Evergreen school shooting in Colorado. That, well, you know, one child is dead. I don't know all the details of it. Because a 14-year-old, I know some details. There's 4 people shot, 1 person killed, 2 people in critical condition, 1 person that looks like they're in pretty good condition. They're going to survive. even if you survive a shooting, it has lifetime effects, right? So, you know, we cannot downplay the fact that somebody got shot, right? To say, oh, well, because I've heard people say, well, they're not dead. See, black people shoot a bunch of people, but they don't be killing as much as white, and that's not true. When it comes to school shootings, you could make the argument that white people kill more people. I hate to make this always about race, because it's not. Sometimes it's political. And when it comes to politics, the race lines get all blurred sometimes, at least for me. Because a lot of people consider Charlie Kirk some type of like racist, right? You hear this, he's a racist, he's a Nazi, all this crazy shit. Now, I don't know all the policies or all the beliefs of this guy. Remember, he's a Christian. I don't follow him so deep into that world. I came across Charlie Kirk. Yeah, I'm not surprised either. And this is why right here. Because Charlie Kirk represents something that changed with me in 2019. Not only Charlie Kirk, but Charlie Kirk played a part. And the reason why I point him out is because I was actually a big viewer of a YouTuber who has millions of subscribers by the name of Kyle Kulinski. Kyle Kulinski and David Pakman is another one. They kind of go hand in hand. These are progressive, left-leaning Democrats that believe poverty causes crime, and that's the reason why black people commit so much crime. And they'll argue with you sometimes that they don't commit that much crime. But when you win the argument and show statistics, then they flip the argument to, oh, well, the reason why, these people are slick as hell. And that's what I started noticing. And that's why I started listening to people like Charlie Kirk, because he represents somebody that always gets railroaded as, you're racist. So you immediately get labeled a racist. Now nobody wants to listen to what you got to say. And if they don't listen to what you have to say, they're going to take the word of other people and they're going to consider you a big threat to society. He's racist. He's a Nazi. He has millions of followers. We have to do something about it. Now, I haven't heard every snippet and everything that Charlie Kirk has ever said in his life. And he has said a lot on camera. So I can't defend everything that the man has said, but I'll tell you what happened today has changed me forever. And I think it's changed this country forever. And I don't think people realize, if you're not in tune to what's going on with politics, how serious this is that just happened. And how you're going to see people on the left blame it on, oh, it's because of the way that he spoke. The man was not a person that was about violence. Listen to the way that he spoke. It was always, oh, I'll listen to you and, but give me the respect of listening to me. Stop trying to overpower the conversation constantly or label me as something so that way you can dominate and try to look like you got the upper hand by just saying, well, you're a Nazi or you're a racist. This happened when I started realizing that there are a lot of black people. Well, I mean, I always knew that black people get shot by cops. Everybody knows real black people be getting fucked up by cops. What the fuck is going on? It seems like it's racism. And yes, a lot of it, a lot of what you heard and the big things that you know about, it might very well, I mean, some of it is racism. You know about it. What was the ones like, the one incident with Rodney King, I believe, that has some, maybe not. I don't know if any racist thing ever came out of that, but we know that there's a history of racism in certain police departments and things like that, right? So police all of a sudden get labeled as racist. They, no matter what, it's almost the same type of thing too, where you can't even argue. You know, people don't even let you speak. That's why sometimes people want a platform, because now they get a chance to speak without being interrupted, or maybe without, and being in fear of what you might have to say. Because people like these lefties, Kyle Kulinskis and the David Pakmans, right? I used to listen to them. They are pretty much in line with the Democratic black youth, for the most part. When you listen to like people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, if you know anything about politics in New York City, she runs a district in Queens where I grew up in. She is a Puerto Rican woman from Yorktown, which is Westchester. She was raised outside of the city, not even really understanding how people in the city were growing up, like myself. Even though she represents people in my district, she doesn't know the real issues. I'm telling you right now. Or she does know it, but she has to play her Democratic, little part. So Kyle Kalinske is definitely involved with the political backing, financial political backing of people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I forgot the name of the group that they created. The Progressive Democrats, Social Democratic Party, Democratic Socialist. If you hear anything like that, this is like the Ilhan Omars of Minnesota. They call her a woke Muslim leftist who's pro-abortion, a Muslim that's pro-abortion. Figure that out. A Muslim that's pro-LGBTQ. How do you come up with this? I don't know. But these are the lefties, man. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the godfather of this shit. Of these people. They worship him. They worship Bernie. Like the actor Mark Ruffalo, when he interviewed Bernie Sanders, he was licking his ass. That motherfucker might as well got on his knees. If you ever watched that crazy interview. These are the socialist, far left people. The left, the Bill Clintons that you know of have gone way out there. The normal left-leaning people on the left side of politics, the Democrats, have gone so far away from what is the centrist type of Democrats or the moderate Democrats, which they consider the corporate Democrats. And they are correct to say that. That's why the left has broken off into little splinter groups of groups that, or parties that are the Green Party. They don't really want to associate with people like Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, what's his name, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, maybe. Yeah, even Barack Obama. Definitely Barack Obama. They don't even fuck with him. This is a big chunk of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is being split into two, between the real radical left and the moderate Democrats that are not so radical. But they're getting there. I don't think the right has gone that far. The far right are neo-Nazis. That's not a lot of the right. That's not a lot of the Republicans. There are way more Democrats that I believe are more radicalized. They want to defund the police. A lot of them wanted to abolish the police. This is the political left. Charlie Kirk was a man on the right, a conservative that's pro-cops, pro-military, and pro-Israel. No, I don't know how he feels about Israel, actually. I think he was pro-Israel. I'm not sure. He was against men playing, or men transitioning as women and then playing in combat sports. That's the thing that really caught my eye with him. He started debating that on college campuses, So, he represents something that people don't want to hear. It's like this is like the taboo thing, Oh, no, you want to transition into a woman from a man, and now you want to fight women in the ring, or you want to play football or rugby with women. What are you trying to do here? Like, just trying to damn succeed in something that they never could succeed at, because now the competition has gotten easier. Let's call it what it is. Oh, but there are women that can beat men. Yeah, there are women, but that's not the norm. People love to point out the exception to the rule. That's not the common norm. I hate when people make that argument, because I know that sometimes that's what you hear. Or not all black people. Do I have to even say that not all black people? Like, when we say black people commit murder at a higher rate than any other race in this country, that's something that you can't say. You don't want to say if you're on the left. The Kyle Kalinskes, them little soft. These people are from like the suburbs, man. And they come up in these parts of a city that they don't even understand what black people really want, or what black people really need, or what poor people, Hispanics, white people that live in certain areas that's not the Westchester, you know, because you could have Hispanics in Westchester that don't know shit about what's going on with the Hispanics in Brownsville or in East New York or Spanish Harlem. And you go to these places and you listen to how they speak and their values, and it's like you kind of sound conservative. But then when you start asking these questions, well, why do you follow? It's because they try to follow a norm because they don't want to break off from what their family typically believes. When I started speaking against the norm of what I used to do, see, everybody was still cool with me when I was a Hebrew Israelite. All my friends and my family, they were still cool with that. It's okay, you just hate white people, that's normal, you know? Because that doesn't get looked at so crazy. But when you say, oh, well, did you know that black people commit murder at 10 times the rate of white people in New York City? You know, oh, how dare you say that? Because it's the truth, and nobody, you know, the reason why I actually want to say that is the fact that you don't want to say that, because y'all don't want to hear that shit, because you're fucking scared, because black people will fuck you up if you say certain things in front of them, and y'all scared of black people, because you see what they do. They'll fuck you up. They can fight. They don't have to jump you, but for some reason they usually do. I don't get it. Because it be the young ones. It's not all black people. Yes, I know it's not all. Are you stupid? Who in their right mind thinks all black people murder? Every black person? Come on, man. You know, like that's a stupid ass argument that people always say as if that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, that's a straw man argument. That's not the argument. The argument is that black people commit murder at a higher rate. Not all black people. You stupid mother. That's the argument that comes from the left. And when you start telling people, well, we're saying this because we want to get to the root of the problem. What's the fucking root of the problem? We keep ignoring it. We're never going to get to the root of the problem. Can we at least talk about it and agree that it's a problem? We can't even talk about it and agree that it's a problem, bro. That shit irks me. And it makes me want to go to a fucking college campus, set up a tent, and go speak to these motherfuckers. And listen to the craziness, because you also get good content. You have some of these people with pink hair come out that are trans, and then you ask them, well, and they'll be like, well, you know, there's so many different genders, blah, blah, blah. And this is a dude with a pink wig, you know, and a bra and a damn bathing suit on, and a beard. So, well, you know, there's so many different genders out here, and you can't tell what I am just by looking at me. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, things like that. That's what the left has become. And you got people like Charlie Kirk, who reads his Bible. He reads about Adam and Eve, and he looks at what people are talking about, and there's all types of stuff going on that doesn't, you know, that doesn't seem right to his religious belief. But not only that, to go even further, in biology, that's what you have, is men and women. And then you have anomalies. And they try to focus so much on the, oh, well, you have a hermaphrodite, or you have a this and that. And it's like, okay, but that's like an anomaly. That's not the norm. You have men and women, and then you have anomalies. Why are you so focused on that? You know, it's the same thing with the abortion. You talk to them about the reason why do we need abortion? The majority of abortions, you know, well, we ask them, okay, why do we need abortion? Oh, you know, because, and listen, this is just the argument from the right to the left, because this is, you know, I have different beliefs. I'm not so, you know, when it comes to abortion, I'll tell you right now, that's something that I wouldn't do. But if somebody wants to do that and they want to make it legal for them to do that because they got violated, you know, by a man, and there's evidence of it, that helps. Then yeah, that's a good reason for trying to want to do that. But that's not the only choice. You can also give the baby up for adoption. Why is that the first choice? And people on the left, that's what their first choice be all the time, as if it's like a plan B. Like, there is a plan B that doesn't involve all that. Why are you gonna go sometimes into your second trimester or sometimes into your third trimester? Sometimes they'll allow. Even till this day, I believe in Virginia, you could go up to the third trimester, 8 months or something like that. Crazy stuff. And Hillary Clinton was all for that. These are the Democrats. Republicans are usually anti-abortion. So they'll argue, well, okay, I get that if a woman gets violated and then gets pregnant and does maybe wants to have an abortion, but that is also an anomaly when it comes to the abortions. The majority of abortions are had and done because people are careless, or people, maybe that's what they want, or they haven't thought it through. They're in the moment, boom, now they're pregnant, they don't know what to do, and then they make a decision later, you know. And you want to leave it up to the clinics in your county, which might be funded by taxpayers, because if you're on Medicare or some government insurance, now people that don't want abortion, don't believe in abortion, they might be funding your abortion, and they don't want that. They don't want to be involved in no abortions at all, and I could understand that. People have the right to want to use their money however way they feel. Especially when it comes to something that's gonna be put into their community that they live in and have to grow up in and raise their children in. It doesn't seem like people on the left have really thought these arguments out. So when they say, well, yeah, women get raped and blah, blah. Okay, but that's like 1% of the abortions or less, because there's so many abortions that are being done that's actually, it's happening so much now because it's so available. It's like there's so much access to it, so it's happening at such a high rate that when you look at the percentages of the reason why it's not happening that way, and it's maybe a rape or something, whatever, there's somebody's uncle raped the niece, and then they want to get an abortion, that's becoming less and less lesser than 1% of the times that it happens, that an abortion happens, and the reason for it would be less than 1% to be a rape. So it seems like it's just some carelessness stuff, and you expect the taxpayers to get involved, and you want put your political leaders in your respective communities to make decisions based on what you want, because that's what you want to allow. You want to have access. My daughter's having sex and I'm not raising her kids. Okay, well, you take precautions. There's so many other things you could do, man. That's another argument right there that gets turned into the similar argument about, crime. When we talk about crime, it's the same shit, man. People on the left have become, are losing the arguments. That's why I started looking at the debates. Cal Kalinske debated Charlie Kirk. This is my first time ever coming across Charlie Kirk. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, an American hero and a patriot. They're about to call him the white Martin Luther King. That's what they call John F. Kennedy. But John F. Kennedy was assassinated before Martin Luther King. So, they're not going to call him the white Martin Luther King before Martin. Yeah, you know what I mean. But, because of the assassination, because it's political, you have probably the biggest figure in American history to be assassinated was Martin Luther King, now that I think about it. Abraham Lincoln can make an argument. Kennedy definitely. But yeah, I mean, this ain't a Martin Luther King. That's not the impact that this is. I don't think. I mean, listen, there weren't camera phones and social media during that time, so I'm going to gauge the impact based on, all of that. And this is big. This is not a small thing that just happened. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that don't know what's going on. And they're going to hear it from some junk social media channel that gives you the news all skewed. And they're going to tell you, well, he invited all that violence. That dude doesn't incite any violence. If you hear anybody say that Charlie Kirk incited violence, because I have a video that I posted on my Instagram, and it's people celebrating, and saying all this stuff. Yeah, they're celebrating his death. These are deranged people, man. Deranged people celebrating the death of a person because they don't agree with their political views. I mean, this is going to cause some crazy people, because there's crazy ass people on all sides and both sides, left sides and the right side and center. People that are centered tend to be more centered. That's why they call them moderate and centered. They don't lean too much to the right. They don't lean too much to the left. We're getting pushed. This right here is going to push people further to the right. Oh yes, you better believe it. This right here is going to push people further to the right. Mark my words. I mean, it takes time to gauge that. We can already see that people are being pushed further out into these more radical views. And it's going to be this political hatred going back and forth, instead of conversations being had where we could just debate. We could just share the ideas and go over them and logically determine which idea sounds better. Shit, sometimes an idea might sound better in a different time. And then in the future, it might not be as good as an idea because time has changed. Ideas are going to be constantly changing. We're living in a world where things are constantly changing. So we have to constantly stay on top of what is the best thing for us to do in society to cohesively exist. So we can coexist, like you see the bumper stickers with all the the signs of all religions. You got the yin and the yang. You got the cross, the star or shield of David, Star of David. Some people call it the Star of Molech. That's another story. The moon for the Muslims or whatever, the sun and the moon. They love that crescent moon, don't they, them Muslims? Y'all Philly people know what I'm talking about. I don't know why Philly people love being Muslims. There's a hotbed of damn recruiting Muslims in Philadelphia, or it's just Muslims having sex as they do, having babies and naming them Rashid and Abdul and Muhammad. You got a dude, his name is Mohammed Robinson and shit. And Aisha, that's a common one too. And you see them in Philly, always with their head covered and all of that. It's a big thing. Speaking of Philly, man, y'all need the damn National Guard over there. I haven't followed too much of what's going on with the damn Philly, man. But Philly was definitely coming up on my radar a lot back in like 2022. Shit was wild. Things are calming down after COVID, but let me read some of your comments, y'all. My bad. I'm over here. I was gonna take a walk, but I said, you know what? It's dark. I don't want to walk down that dark road. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna get compared to Martin Luther King. It's not on that level, but he did have millions of followers, so it's something big, man. It's big. It's no Martin Luther King. It's big though. It's Satan and his minions versus God and his army. Hey, I don't want to turn this into a religious thing either, because that's a problem sometimes too. Because I'm kind of conservative, I guess. I don't know, man. I agree with conservatives on certain points, politically, but when it comes to religion, I mean, also I can read the Bible and we could come to an agreement on what we think the Bible says, and I could say, yeah, the Bible says that, whatever. Yeah, I agree with that. You agree with that? Yeah, I agree with that. That's what it says. Do I believe that happened? No, I can see, I can agree with Christians and disagree with Hebrew Israelites on the divinity of the birth of Jesus, right? I can agree with, Christians on what the scripture says. Not that I believe, all of that, because I'm not a Christian, just to get that straight. But if you're a Christian, so be it, man. You have that right. And I actually have a lot of Christian friends. And I have Hebrew Israelite friends too. I used to be in a Hebrew Israelite cult, believe it or not. But yeah, please quote scripture. I'm done listening to whatever anyone says. The debate is over. Man's laws create confusion. Man's laws create confusion. The thing is that we constantly are gonna need laws. If you look at God's laws, they're actually, some of them are outdated, right? There are laws that say things like, it's just talking about like cattle and stuff, and like it's like this is not directed towards the time that we're living in, man. Like 2% of the population here in this country are responsible for our farming products and our agriculture. Do you know that? 2% of the population are responsible for all the farming, all the agriculture, from grains to meat to dairy to all the stuff that you conveniently enjoy when you go to your neighborhood supermarket. All that shit is because of the 2%. You understand? So the Bible is speaking to them, I guess, right? It applies to them more, especially if they have a neighbor, that's also a farmer, and their cows get into it, and then one cow kills another cow. Hey, your cow killed my cow. Well, what does the Bible say? Or your cow killed my daughter. Well, what does the Bible say? But how the hell can I apply those laws today? There's no cow gonna be killing my daughter, man. I promise you that my daughter is not gonna get killed by a cow. That's not fucking common and shit. Or nobody in this neighborhood, nobody in this 80-mile radius is ever gonna get killed by a cow, man. So what the hell is the Bible talking about? It's not relative to today. Okay, so now there's a New Testament. You don't gotta worry about sacrificing animals. That's another thing. Living in tents, like what? We don't have to live in tents. Some people do. My man in the woods, my man with the machete in the woods. Have you ever met him? I'm gonna introduce you to him one day, man. I'm gonna make the peace with him. I'm gonna bring him a bottle of water. Maybe a little sandwich. We chop it up with no, not that type of chop. Not with the machete chop. We're gonna chop it up like talk. That says governing authorities. All right, my bad. I'm not following these comments, but make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Do it now, before it's too late. Before I get before I'm next, man. Listen, sometimes you got to be careful what you say, even if it's the truth. And I think that's what, to me, that's what I think about when I think about Charlie Kirk. The things that I've listened to him debate when he goes to college campuses, he asks these college kids questions on what is a man, and sometimes they'll tell you what a woman should do, a woman that, and then you ask them, but what is a woman? And then they can't define it. That is like great. That's great content because it's real. It shows you the political absurdity of some of these people, especially on college campuses. Another thing that's going on college campuses is a lot of heavy, like, Free Palestine protesting, anti-Israel stuff. Jewish hate has gone up a lot, I'll tell you right now. I mean, you got people on the right that, what's her name? Candace Owens has completely turned against other people on the right. There's been a war with conservatives too. You got people like Candace Owens, and it's this whole Israel-Palestine whole thing, this whole Palestine-Israel debacle. They don't know what the F they're doing. I love that line. Donald Trump needs to keep that energy right there. They don't know what the F they're doing. Remember that? When he's talking about Israel, they made a peace, and then they broke it fucking 8 hours later. 6 hours later, the truce was broken. This shit's crazy, man, when it comes down to all that whole shit. And I don't rock with a lot of stuff that they're saying out there, because there's just regular Jewish people out here that are not into some damn Kabbalah conspiracy. Like, that's another thing. It's like, not all Jews, like we were saying. Can I come on the live? Life was better in the 1990s. Damn, I didn't make this live to where anybody could join on, but if you guys want me to, I could turn it off, and I don't know. I don't want to do all of that. Yeah, because this live is on my phone. I don't even know how I could send you the link to it to invite once we're on the live, How could I even send it to you? Before we get on the live, I mean. Even once we get on the live, I can't put it in my comment section. I can't even comment when I'm doing lives on my phone the way that I'm doing it right now. But I do keep an open booth for visitors. Usually, shout out to G Fort from Minnesota, who's a regular, and Brooklyn out. My bad. Yo, I'm on the live, man. I don't know if obviously if he's calling me, he don't know I'm live, but that's another one, another regular visitor. Shout out to, all my regular visitors, Reno, and everybody out there, man. Savon. Do you think it was just one person involved in the Charlie Kirk shooting? Man, I don't have any details. I haven't. I know that the um what you call it, um the police chief, he was saying that it was definitely politically motivated. They have a suspect. I think they had the wrong suspect. I think the old man that they were showing, and that's why I liked it. I wanted to wait a little bit about, before I delved into everything, because I don't, the details don't even be coming out like that sometimes. Same thing with the shooting, the school shooting in Colorado, especially when it's a 14-year-old at that. You're not going to get a lot of information about what his name is, and none of that comes out. Maybe you'll get some a motive, but with the Charlie Kirk thing, they pretty much know the motive. They know it's political. It seems to be somebody that doesn't agree with what Charlie Kirk says, which could be somebody on the right. It could be a Republican, but I'm pretty sure somebody on the left. I'm gonna just go with that safe assumption. I think, because, well, I mean, no, there is more political violence on the right. At least that's documented. I think it's harder to document political violence on the left, because there's people that agree with lefty politics, but they probably might not vote, and they might not even want to consider themselves aligned with any political party. A lot of people on the left are like that. That's why they're breaking off into progressives and all of that. So now they could break off into separate groups. And when you talk about political violence, oh, is it Republicans or Democrats? They could consider themselves a progressive. Antifa don't consider themselves Democrats. They hate Democrats. They hate the Democratic Party. They hate the whole system. They're anarchists. They're like damn Pink Floyd. They want to see the world burn. That's Antifa. Anti-fascists. The anti-fascists. But yeah, there's definitely, if you look at the data, there's more political violence on the right. But it's not like by a lot, but it is. It is, the majority. Um, I really think because the mainstream media, because I've done videos on mass shootings, and the mainstream media, I really think that they don't expose certain things because it makes like people on their side look bad. It makes their cities look bad. It makes it's just a no-no that you don't do. AP News did nothing on the story of the Ukrainian girl that was stabbed to death in the North Carolina train. By a crazed dude that was arrested 14 times. A black male, and she was surrounded by black people in that bus. And I didn't see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe more video comes out later or some information. It seems like somebody was kind of saying something like this guy got a knife and he stabbed, but it didn't seem too important at the moment. I don't know if anybody realized what just happened. It's pretty gruesome to just be sitting on a bus and you look to your left and the woman is clutching her chest, and then blood just starts pouring everywhere and she's dying in front of your face. That story's crazy right there. That damn North Carolina train story, man. I don't know how to pronounce the girl's name. Zaruska, Irina Saruska. I don't know. I've been like so busy lately. I got so many other things going on, but this right here really really got my attention. I ain't gonna lie. Um, yeah, and I feel Charlie Kirk on a lot of this stuff. Charlie Kirk is a debater. He'll win an argument, and that's what I learned. I learned a lot from him because I used to listen to people on the left like Kyle Kalinske and David Pakman was some of the main ones. And you got um, the Mike Green show. You got the Rational National, who's I believe is in Canada, and I forget this other guy I used to listen to, man. Brian Cohen, I think he's Jewish, but he's anti-Israel. He's an anti-Israel Jew. He's a pro-Palestine Jew. There's a lot of those going around. Um, Kyle Kalinske debated Charlie Kirk in 2019 in a political event called Politicon, like kind of like Comic-Con, but a political thing. And they debate. They all get together. There's a bunch of political YouTubers and social media, and it's a big spectacle. It's a big event. They debated a lot of different topics from police, crime, the economy, violence in democratic cities versus violence in Republican states. And this is one of the arguments that I saw Charlie Kirk just overpower this left-leaning progressive democratic socialist Kyle Kalinske. I believe the conversation was Baltimore, the violence in Baltimore and Detroit, right? So then he'll say, no, Memphis or something like that, right? Memphis, Tennessee, right? So Memphis is actually a blue city. Tennessee is a red state. Now let's get this right. Let's understand where we're going here. If you have a blue city in a red state, that blue city is going to make the red state crime numbers go up. That's what happens. Because you have these big blue cities like Memphis in a red state like Tennessee, you have certain crime rates go up in red states. That's why you have to look at the city to see what the hell's going on in the state. That's why you got to look at the whole state to see what's going on. Why is there so much crime just mainly in this city? Oh snap! That's one of them highly populated democratic cities. More stressed out people. You got this hustle and bustle lifestyle. You never could chill. A lot of psychological problems in cities like New York City, Los Angeles. It's a lot of mental health issues, a lot of drugs, a lot of partying, fast life. And because it's called a fast life, that's what happens. Your life can quickly come to a fast halt or to a halt. And you might find yourself addicted to damn opioids or some damn fentanyl because, you met some dude in the club one day and now you're calling out of work or, and you become homeless. That's what happens. People start getting on drugs. They stop working. And then their whole day becomes, how can they get the next fix? And this affects, the community. How do you deal with that? It's hard. The Democrats don't have an answer. How do you deal with that? You love the fact that there's so many people in a city. It's highly populated, so way more tax money comes in. They love that. That's the appeal in these democratic cities. And they lock you in to these little small apartments right next to this apartment, and above you got another apartment, right under you got another apartment, on all sides. Right in front of you, you open your door, your neighbor's coming out, you might bump each other. That's how close your doors are. You go in the elevator, you're touching each other. It smells like piss. This is the life that I had in New York City growing up in Queens, in Elmhurst, Queens. With the elevator on Denman Street, I used to live. Damn pissy elevator that seldomly worked. So sometimes you get stuck in between floors. You might have to climb out. You know, you don't want to get clipped. Come out with a stub. Ah. Nah, seriously, that happened one time. Damn elevator got stuck in between floors. I had to pull the door open and climb up, literally climb up into the floor. You know, because the door was locked on the bottom. I couldn't open it. On the bottom floor. Or was it easier to get to the top floor? I forgot, man. It's disgusting. It stinks. You see human feces on the street. Human feces. I could tell the difference between human feces and some horse fucking manure. Yeah, man, it's crazy. Or some dog shit. Yeah, it's a difference. You know that if you're in the medical field and you're a nurse and shit, or a doctor. Then you got roaches and rats. You got super rats that would jump up and take the pizza out of your hand as you're walking by on your lunch break. This is the stuff that you got to deal with in these democratic, highly populated cities. How did people in Egypt open portals? Somebody asked. Wow. What a question. All right, let's go over here. Do you think it was just one person involved in Charlie Kirk shooting? Yeah, I don't know. I think it was one person. Let's go back to that. But it was a highly trained person. I don't know how far away they were. They had to be far because I saw different angles. I don't know why I watched this thing so many times. The first angles I saw, I was looking for the video that actually showed it because people were like, no, there's a video out there. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's all blurred and it's far away. Those were the first videos I saw. And they blurred all this over here. I didn't know if he got shot in the chest or what. I didn't realize that he got shot in the neck and all that blood gushed out like that. That's gruesome. This is like a horror movie, man. This shit is political violence. You never seen nothing like that. Show me the video of Martin Luther King getting shot through his neck and blood gushing out like that. You will never see another political, or you have never seen an assassination like that. I don't think ever. There was a video. I mean, you know, there's videos, constant videos of all types of people, you know, dying, being murdered, or just straight up accident, you know, all types of stuff. But an assassination, man, you don't have that for John F. Kennedy like that. The John F. Kennedy one was big. We don't have a video of Malcolm X. Or do we have a video of Martin Luther King getting shot? I've never seen it. We have a photo of Jesse Jackson pointing up, or somebody pointing up, a few people pointing up towards a balcony or towards something, a window, and they're on a balcony. Right? And he's already dead on the ground. I seen photos. But yeah, this is something crazy, man. I mean, listen, this is disturbing content. Well, if you're gonna go out and look for this, I'm telling you right now, be forewarned. It's not easy. It's not easy watching it. What I saw was that was one of the that shit snapped me right back to reality. You know, sometimes, I mean, I didn't see the video of the girl on the bus, on the train getting stabbed. I don't know if it's out there of the actual, you know, insertion of the knife into her neck. But we literally saw Charlie Kirk's, like, a bullet go right through his neck, man. And it hit that jugular and blood was everywhere. I knew right away when I saw that, I was like, oh, he's dead. There's not a chance unless there's a doctor and a nurse and all types of equipment and stuff that, like, come on, man. I mean, I don't know what you could do with that. I don't know what you could do with that at that point. Especially if it's a jugular, you're going to bleed out heavy and fast. and there's little you could do at that point. And it's a sad, sad day. There's actually a vein, I forget what they call it, in your femur, in your leg. I think it's uh, the carotid. No, 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 no. I forget the carotid. Um, I forget, but in your leg, you could get shot and bleed out real fast too. That's what happened to the detective that got shot during the Breonna Taylor botched raid. Lieutenant Mattingly got shot by Breonna Taylor's boyfriend when they were doing the no-knock. They were serving a no-knock warrant at Breonna Taylor's apartment. He got shot in his thigh. I believe his thigh, yeah. And it hit that vein, or almost hit that vein, or something like that. He almost bled out and died in Breonna Taylor's house. A lot of people don't know that. That dude almost died, Lieutenant Mattingly. All this is not without purpose. There's an underlying message, says Xander. I don't know, Xander. I think you're reaching a little bit, but keep talking. I like it. Tesso says, you get freaky with that nub. Yeah, I used to live in Far Rock, says Outlander. Cool. How did people in Egypt know? That's a question. Tesso, I didn't see what question you had. Yeah, Jeff K. Malcolm X. We have pictures because film isn't like today. Yeah. If we had a phone, I would have video. So sad. You wouldn't watch it, dude's dead. YNC for uncensored information. Okay. YNC. All right, I think I'm caught up with the messages. My bad. I'll try to keep up and not go on these long rants. But when I feel I'm making a point, sometimes I like to keep going. But yeah, man, welcome everybody. It's been 52 minutes in since I started. I started this talking about political violence. Did a Democrat or fellow MAGA murder Charlie Kirk? Man, it might have been a Republican. Not all Republicans are MAGA. See, now people are starting to conflate MAGA. See, all MAGA are Republicans, but not all Republicans are MAGA. There you go. Know what I mean? Oh, man. So, yeah, I wonder who could it be? I'm guessing it's a white person, a white male, right? When it comes to assassinations, you're going to find that it's usually a white male who is the suspect or the perpetrator. And usually it's mostly white victims of assassinations, white men, obviously, too, because there are more white people in this country than any other race, or yeah, there are more white men that are in positions of power, political positions of power, than white women. So all those things, there's always factors that skew numbers in different directions, and I like to understand the why. First you get the how, then you get the what, then you get the why. Outlander said a transgender. Nah, man. What's going on with transgender is that they've been shooting up. All right, this is what happens. This is what happens. They grow up religious, right? Now, you're going to have people that are growing up religious that are going to be confused, and they're going to get seduced or persuaded or influenced by their friends or people in their age group. There's a lot of sexual uncertainty, and sexuality is just there's no boundaries now. Back then it used to be a man taking a woman out on a date, and they go to the movies. And now it's like they get together and do these like damn swinging parties, and there's all types of crazy stuff going on. I mean, not that it wasn't happening back then. I heard Martin Luther King was involved in some of them swinging parties. If you haven't heard, not swinging parties, but there's some stories of Martin Luther King. They're gonna release it. I think it's already released. Martin Luther King was getting freaky deaky there. It doesn't take away, well, it does take away from him being a good old Christian boy, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he was a big influence and a great speaker and had a great message for the most part. Because I don't believe in everything that Martin Luther King wanted to do politically. He did want to push that, oh man, what was that? That's what Andrew Yang was trying to push. What did Andrew Yang campaign under? He was constantly kept mentioning the, anyways. So I don't believe everything, that Martin Luther King preached. But like I said, he's a big political figure, great message. The biggest assassination of our time, and the biggest assassination of American history, rather. This Charlie Kirk thing is like this thing is insane. We don't have the video of Biggie getting shot. We don't have the video of Tupac getting shot. Those ain't assassinations. Like Chris Rock said. People be having photos of Biggie up on their wall and shit. He said, them niggas got shot. They wasn't assassinated. He said Martin Luther King was assassinated. Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated. Them niggas got shot. Bum. That's Chris Rock. That's not me. The Bible says, Voyager 1, welcome, Voyager 1. Reporting. The Bible says there will be many who are ignited in the faith early in life, but fall away. And then there are others who started not strong in the faith, but there's a rebirth later on. Woo! I like that, man. Voyager 1. That's a great message right there, man. I'm going to keep that. Let me screenshot that. That'll be the thumbnail. Wait, hold on. There you go. Yeah, man. Thank you for the dope comments. I need a sidekick over here. I need somebody else to chime in. Because, just to keep me back in the direction that, we're talking about certain things. But, please don't go crazy with the topics. Talking about portals in Egypt. I mean, that's kind of interesting, but I don't know. What are you talking about there? Stargate? Fake ass Christians. Yeah, man, I can't stand a fake ass Christian. Leftism is cancer. Mr. Poopy Butthole. Woo! Fake ass Christian. D. Hogan. Nah, I ain't a Christian, man. I ain't a Christian. Oh, wait. Martin Luther King, you mean? Yeah. Martin Luther King, there's the FBI was watching Martin Luther King real close, or the CIA. No, it was the FBI. And the FBI caught some stuff, in hotels. And there was more than just another woman and him. It was like another woman and him, and then one of his boys and another woman. And just like a kind of like a group or something. Go look up the stories, man. I ain't making this stuff up. This stuff ain't being pushed out there like that. Nobody wants to talk about Martin Luther King. His legacy, man. All these Martin Luther King boulevards got to come down now. Yeah. I mean, shit, you want to pull down, Christopher Columbus statues. They want to tear down, what's his name? Stonewall Jackson statues and rename Stonewall Jackson High School to Roberto Clemente High School. Things like that. Hey, I don't mind that at all. You know, I love me some baseball. Let's go Mets. But yeah, I saw a video, and I know y'all saw a video of this too. This is a famous video of a murder caught on camera. It was a rapist, murderer, and a murderer. I think this dude raped a girl, an underage girl. Could have been of age. I don't remember the age of the victim. I know she definitely was raped. I believe she was also murdered. I could be wrong about the murdering, but she was raped. They caught the dude, and he's being walked out of court after the judge gives him no bail, and he's about to be taken to jail. He's being walked through the hallway of the courthouse with police in hand on one side, probably on one side. It might have been just one cop with him, and the cameras are there videotaping him, and there's the news, wanting to get whatever. The news catches a guy on the phone booth like this, looking back. He's on the phone booth and he sees the dude walking. He hangs up the phone, takes out a gun, and shoots that motherfucker. It's the father of the victim. And kills the damn scumbag. One of the craziest stories of vengeance ever filmed. This is real life. It's putting chills down my spine right now thinking about it. Because I would do something like that. If something like that happened to one of my kids, I don't know if I'll go to that level. I think I will. I think at that, I don't know. Because I have other kids to live for. I have other children. So if I had one child and that child was taken, raped, and murdered, and I get a chance at this guy, I'm going to jail. I am going to prison. Take me. I'll proudly go to prison. So I feel that dude, man, from one father to another. If he's still in prison, I don't know. That was probably in the 80s or 70s. 70s? It's an old story. I believe it was the 80s. But yeah, this political violence, man, that's a whole different story. I think it's because people are scared to tell the truth, and the truth has been hidden, or excused, certain truths. That's what Charlie Kirk kind of represents to me. He represents this truth that's gonna hurt you. He's been hurting people, man, with his words, and people feel like because his words are so powerful, is what it was, that it's almost like he's attacking you. You feel attacked. He's attacking me. Like, come on, man. If you can't handle a debate, if you can't handle political disagreements, don't get involved in politics. Don't talk about it. Don't watch it. You got to deal with other demons. You got to deal with something else before you deal with trying to talk to people about, what they should be believing, or why it's better to believe what you believe. That's the type of stuff that Charlie Kirk was talking about. His political stances on things, financial political stances too, the economy. What should we do with taxpayer money? These are important conversations, man. This is the type of stuff I like to watch. So that's why I'm so involved. I'm so involved with this right now. That's why this is really, it's caught my attention. Not everybody's gonna understand what's going on. This was one of the biggest days of our time, man. This day is gonna be remembered every year. You're gonna hear Charlie Kirk. You're gonna constantly hear people, Republicans, and then it's gonna become a debate now. Watch, you're gonna hear the response back from the left. But the debate is going to be, yo, look what they did. The left is violent. The left is more violent than the right. Look what they did to Charlie Kirk. And then people on the left are going to go to their convenient left-leaning studies done by news reports and stuff, done by the Washington Times, or the New York Times and the Washington Post, that I don't think they do. I don't think they do honest reporting. I know they don't do honest reporting because I've done individual research into things like school shootings and mass shootings. And I've done videos and posted it on my channel. Go check it out. The 2023 school shootings and the 2022 school shootings. You are not going to find a video that collectively combines all the school shootings of 2023 or 2022. I don't think anywhere, at least on YouTube, that I've ever seen. I don't see anybody doing what I did with the information that's out there. All you have to do is go look up the information. You can go to different sources. My favorite source for gun violence is gunviolencearchive.org. Anything dealing with a mass shooting especially. Because that's the type of stuff that I'll do videos on. It's just because it affects more people at a time. So it's like a big story. This school shooting in Evergreen High School. Yeah. Evergreen High School shooting is being overshadowed right now because there's so much going on. Especially after the news that Charlie Kirk was shot dead on campus as he was speaking about gun violence, which is one of the biggest issues in our country, of course. We have 3 times more guns than people in this country. There are about 3 billion people in the United States. There are roughly 3 billion people. I repeat, there are roughly 3 billion people in the United States, and there are 3 times more guns. Yes, that means there's 9 billion guns out there. That's what they say. That's the numbers. That's statistics. There's marginal errors. People always want to focus on the little marginal errors. That's the arguments that we were talking about before. That's the anecdotal arguments, or the the anomaly argument. That not all the time, and not every Mexican's a criminal. Not every immigrant is a criminal. I know that. We know that. Everybody knows that. There's probably an insane person that believes, there's people out there like that, right? I guess. But come on now. And then people conflate the argument about illegal immigrants and immigrants. This is another thing that Charlie Kirk was talking about, because it's constantly in the news with ICE. You can see Charlie Kirk on campuses in, all throughout California, Philadelphia. I believe he's been to Harvard, UCLA. I'm talking about on campuses. He's been all over talking to people about all these issues. He'll be sitting in a booth, in a tent or whatever, with the cameras all over, with signs, and he'll have a hat that says ICE. He'll have an ICE hat or something, to get the people going, to start issues. Not really to start issues. Let me not say that. To start conversations. But he also knows that there's people that are going to get triggered by that. That's not shit. I would do the same thing too. If I had a following like that and all that, that support behind them, that team, you got to come up with something creative. You You got to come up with good content. And that's what Charlie Kirk was doing, man. He was triggering lefties. And you know, some people would say, "Whoa, those are kids, man. You're debating kids." I mean, Charlie Kirk was only 31, and he's been doing that since he was like 23, 24. In 2019, he would have been 25. So that's when I first saw him. But he's already been making a name for himself. But I first came across Charlie Kirk in 2019 when I was watching progressive lefty Democrats like Kyle Kulinski on YouTube debating different political issues with Charlie Kirk. And Kyle Kulinski is immature. You know, he had immature debate tactics. He was not ready for Charlie Kirk. And I wasn't ready for some of these arguments either. And I doubted some of the things that he said, but I started looking into everything, and I realized that there's a crazy political climate right now, and a lot of it was dealing with the shootings and police shootings and all of that stuff. So I started looking into that early, and I started realizing that the way that the mass media is covering police shootings is not accurate. And you got to do your own research and look up actual sealed unsealed documents, court documents, and you got to read them yourself. You know, there's information out there that you can get on your own. It's open, it's public information, you know. So the media might use that and put their own twists to things. That's what you got to watch. You know, I watch that on all sides. You know, that's why I like to listen to independent news. That's why I was listening to these socialists, democratic socialists, at a time when Bernie Sanders was a thing, and, you know, 2016 election, I was following that pretty closely, coming out of being a big time religious, you know, Hebrew Israelite that didn't really focus or care about voting or politics for the most part. I was more on my religious stuff, and you know, trying to I was out there on microphones doing things that like Charlie Kirk was doing, but we were more preaching. For those that know, you know, what were we preaching, man? We were preaching that Hebrew Israelite stuff. And a lot of the talking points and narratives sound very similar to what these Democrats that's far left, these progressive socialist Democrats, the progressive left, pretty much. That's I mean, you gotta watch. It's I like to listen to all, but I can't do too much of this stuff. This MSNBC stuff like that, CNN. You got shows like The View that it just represents people on the left that have gone insane. And everything is racism. Statistics are racism. You know, everything is racism, man. They find a way to make victims of people so that way you can come up with a solution as a political leader. I have the solution, you know, and they might run for office and they need your vote. And now they might sound attractive to you because, you know, they're going to give you more opportunities because you're black. We're going to help out the black man. And they might use those little programs and the money that comes for those programs to use it as a slush fund sometimes. It'd be a trap. That's why you had mayors like Tiffany Hayward or Tiffany Haynard. Tiffany Haynard was in Bolton. Is it Bolton, Illinois? I forget the name of the city where she was in. She was using the money from the from taxpayer money, pretty much, to fund her campaigns, to fund her nonprofit organizations. Tiffany Haynard, go look her up. And that's systemic oppression, if you want to call it that. It's a systemic way of railroading the people's taxpayer money. The people's money. Taxpayer money, man. And these are black people. This is a black mayor, Tiffany Haynard. But you got people that say, no, see, the system is against black people, and the system is always used to tear down black people, and the white man likes to use the system. This is a black mayor that's doing her own people wrong. So if the solution is get less white people in power and more black people, it doesn't seem to be helping, because the same thing that you're talking about is happening, apparently, where you got crooked people taking money regardless of race. So you just want to put people in positions of power because they're black, I trust them. Oh, she looks like my mother, yeah, I trust her. Oh, she's a woman, I'm a woman, yeah, I'm gonna vote for her because she understands my issues. Not necessarily. And on that note, let's take a little walk, do a little dance, get down tonight. Hit that thumbs up, hit that like button as we mosey on down the road. Which way do I go? Let's go this way. Oh, man. I don't know how far I'm gonna go because it gets dark down here. And I don't have a stabilizer for the phone, so excuse the shakiness. Let me just go down here. Sometimes you got deer that be coming over here and grazing the grass. We out here in Central Florida, Orlando to be exact. And what we could do, set up right here, maybe, and now we got a better view. Yep, I'm out here in sunny Florida, in a city called Orlando. And just talking about this Charlie Kirk thing, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Charlie will be missed. There's going to be a lot of talk of Charlie Kirk for the next, man, I mean, this is the biggest assassination I've seen on a video. This is really making the rounds on social media. You have a lot of people that, I think if they had a better understanding of who this guy was, they wouldn't be celebrating his death. I think that the celebration of his death is it's inconsiderate, and to really put it lightly, but to speak frankly, it's evil is what's going on. That's evil, and you know it. And there's gonna be a lot of people that get exposed for making certain comments on social media. You're gonna see some developments with these crazed lunatics with colored hair that call themselves progressive. I'm progressive. Shit, with a name like that, you would think like, damn, how can I vote against progress? I love progress. You're a progressive Democrat? Wow, well, I love progress. Can I get with you? How can I give you money? You know, that's how it goes. Yeah, we're gonna bring forth more progressive policies because conservatives are stuck in the Stone Age and they're reading their Bible, and and to an extent, to a certain point, they might have a point. They might have an argument to make about old policies that need to be rethought and renewed, and see what else we can do, to maybe spread money out to different programs, to different parts of our entire society, man. Just basic stuff that we all want in life is family, food, love, water. Basic things, man. These are people that Charlie Kirk was a person that just like you, with a family that loved him, with a family that he loved. He supported a family. And for you to like get on social media and make fun of that when you know that they have children that might see that in the future, it just shows you how far gone society has sunk. More specifically, these Democrats that are just, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I grew up thinking like these cats, man. Politics is powerful, man, and it's pulling people apart racially. We should just speak honestly and candidly about what's going on in this world. We understand what's happening in society in these big cities, these big democratic cities with a lot of taxpayers. We know that there's a higher rate of all types of crime, and there's a higher rate of homelessness, and it brings down it brings down people around you, and you expect people around you to support you because they might be doing better off, and now it falls as a burden on hardworking taxpayers to have to deal with drug addicts that want to be homeless and live out of a shelter and get free food every day and just panhandle on the corner from all day long. I see it over here, all over this whole city, man. Panhandlers are just, not over here. You got to go down a little bit. We've done it before. We've seen it. Mayan Stevenson. Hear about Charlie Kirk. Yep, I know all about it. Quan, no, he wasn't like me. He proliferated the politics of division and disenfranchisement. I mean, politics is divisive. People are divided by politics already, right? So you could say that about anybody that pushes their political ideology. He wasn't divisive because he would actually give you the floor to talk, and you can have a conversation, and you can disagree and walk away and not become violent. You can walk away from these situations and not become violent. What this Quan character is pushing is exactly the problem right here. This is what got him murdered. Is what you're thinking in your brain is that he needs to be stopped. He's divisive because he has a political ideology and he wants to speak about it. He's divisive. I don't get that, man. Like what are you talking about right now? the media can be described as divisive in the way that they choose to expose certain stories, and they'll kill other stories or not expose it as much. Rosemary Butler says Charlie Kirk professed being Christian and trying to talk to truth Jesus Christ. He had the uncommon gift of sensibility. This is spiritual warfare. I was saying it. I've been saying that this is political. It's a political warfare going on. There are the political climate right now is insanely hot right now. It's insanely problematic. Go watch my last live stream. I was saying that. We already seen the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, where it caught his ear, and there was that whole thing happened. People believe that was a whole show, and it was all staged. I've heard people say, these are comments on Kyle Kalinski's YouTube channel on this video that he's talking about Charlie Kirk's death. There was people on there saying that I wouldn't be surprised if MAGA did this to create more conflict. This is the conspiracy theories that you hear on the left. Trust me, there's enough on the conspiracy theories on the right. I see it all the time, man. It's everywhere. People, Republicans, they fall for it all the time. People on the left, I see it too, man. They're being more manipulated through the media. People on the right have a distrust of the media generally. People on the left too, but I think there's more on the right because the media tends to be more democratic. CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, CBS, ABC, Al Jazeera, BBC, all these news networks, you can say lean left. Then you got Fox News leans right. You got the Daily Wire that most people don't even know about. They lean right. And then you have some of the centered. I like the Wall Street Journal. Sometimes I like the Wall Street Journal. When it comes to economy, that's a great paper to get. Great news, economic news, boom. Anything related to crypto, they be on it. But then they touch on other topics too, of course. They touch on every news article pretty much that you'll hear everywhere else, But then you have certain news articles that'll pick up, certain stories that might be publicized now. And you might make it an issue as if it's a rampant issue when it's just maybe a story here and a story there. You want to make it seem like it's an epidemic of whatever fits your political agenda. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, we'll agree about the media. If you want to know what's going on in America, Al Jazeera or the BBC is probably your best bet. Al Jazeera is what you listen to. Al Jazeera is ran by crazy Islamists that downplay the murders done on October 7th. They downplay. You have, who's that one dude, the main reporter that I constantly see on Al Jazeera? These Islamics, Islam is more extreme than Christianity. I want you to know that. Islam is Al Jazeera is ran by Muslims, in case you don't know. BBC, come on, man. The British Broadcasting Company, right? Or corporation. Anything in the UK right now is being overran by Islam, by Muslims. You got refugees that leave Syria or Palestine, people that are leaving their current situation because of whatever is going on in their country, what's going on in Gaza, Palestine. And they'll be a visitor in the UK, and they might stay in a hotel for free off taxpayer money. They get a free phone, and then they don't really contribute to society sometimes. They might just stay there for 2 years, figure out another free road, and a free pass. So what you see in the UK is this pussification that the people on the right, Christians and Republicans and all of that on the right, they pretty much are trying to stop what already happened in the UK. They're trying to stop that from happening in America, because the immigration problem in the UK has taken over the country, and you got left-leaning real softies. The UK is real soft, man. Like, the police are soft. They don't run shit. They let crime run rampant. Luckily, there's no gun issue like we have in the United States. They don't have shootings like we have in the United States. So that's where they are always trying to make it seem like they're more pious and they're better and all that shit. But politically, we're talking about politically. Listen to what Al Jazeera says. I've watched interviews of Richard Dawkins. Here, let's put this right here. And he's talking to the head anchor of Al Jazeera. Get his name, man. That dude. He be debating. I seen him debate on Jubilee not too long ago. These people believe. Oh, look at the deer. Oh shit! Fuck! Scared him away. This dude admitted on camera that he believes that Muhammad flew to the moon on a winged horse, a Pegasus, and split the moon in half. That's actually in the Quran. And they sympathize with terrorists. They downplay the real issue that Palestinians are ran by Hamas. They want to enforce Sharia law. Some countries like these, they're trying to change the political climate and the political parties in these other countries to appease their political beliefs and their religious beliefs. And they're changing the whole culture in the UK. France is unrecognizable in certain parts of town that you go to. England, Manchester, and London, just being taken over, and it's like an invasion of people, and of people from other countries and other cultures, just completely changing the culture of your country. And that's why what happened, what was enforced, the immigration policies here, that's why it's a good thing. You don't want these big changes in your country because of influences from outside people that are coming from other countries. They want to change your country, and they're visitors, and they're disrespecting the country that they're leeching off. When these ICE protests, or when these ICE raids started, and when Donald Trump first really started pushing on that, then you had these protests, these anti-ICE protests, and people are flying the Mexican flag. They're flying every flag but the American flag, but they want to stay in America, and they hate this country, and they hate people like Charlie Kirk, who's a white Christian conservative, which is what America pretty much was founded upon, white Christians. They don't want to change that culture. They don't want you to come into the country and start, changing whatever, regardless of what happened in the past. We're living in 2025, and I know people are going to say, well, Mexico and California is Mexico. Not anymore. Not since it was won over in 1852 in the Mexican-American War, and Mexico sold California with a bunch of other states. New Mexico, Nevada, Colorado, parts of Wyoming. for $15 million. But, you know, it was 1852, so $15 million was a shitload of money. How much is California worth right now, do you think? How much money do you think California brings into this country every year? It's in the billions. And that's every year. Yep. That's Popo. But, yeah, well, so we got... how many Democrats do you know that actually have guns? Democrats that have guns? So, I can name a few, but the thing is, it's hard to label them Democrats. You know, if you're talking about people that I know, but they're definitely, you can look up Democrats that are for the Second Amendment rights. You know, you can probably Google how many Democrats are pro-gun, or what's the percentage of Democrats pro-gun. Was there any studies done? That's a good question. Thank you, Quan. France has been that way since the 80s. You had a huge Asian influx. You also had part of a town called Algeria. White Christian conservative Republicans would still own slaves if they were allowed to. Actually, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, and he was the one that abolished slavery. But there are countries in Africa that haven't abolished. There are countries that haven't abolished slavery yet in Africa. So, you know, there are countries in Africa that abolished slavery after America abolished slavery. You know, just so you know, there's actually a genocide going on in a place called Darfur, in a country called Sudan. In Darfur, Sudan, there's been a genocide. It happened 20 years ago. In 2003, it lasted 2 years. Millions of people were killed. And now it's happening again, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody talks about these things. But Israel, Palestine. Yep. I mean, I'm just wondering where the rest of the damn hostages at. Where are the rest of the hostages at? Let's get this shit over with already, Palestine. Like, you don't start some shit and then want to be the victim. October 7th was crazy, man. And now you want to, well, it started way before October 7th, but 1948, because, you know, they've been oppressing the people there. Blah, blah. They've been oppressing them. They've been trying to fucking live amongst them. And they refuse that. They refuse to. They don't want Israel to have a land. They don't want Israelis to live anywhere. Where are Israelis going to go? If we let Palestine do what they want to do, they would kick Jews out of Israel. They'll kill them. If we let the Palestinian regime that's crumbled, because Hamas runs Palestine, and 85% of Palestinians support Hamas, and about 40% of Muslims in the UK support Sharia law. Some of them want to enforce it in the UK. Sharia law that says that if you steal, you should have your hands cut off. Sharia law that says that a woman is not supposed to go out after dark without a male relative. Sharia law that says women shouldn't be allowed to drive. I mean, it's not in the Quran. Of course, you're not going to find it in the Hadith. But you will find these laws in countries like Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan, which I think just recently they allowed women to drive. You know, they got to cover themselves up like ninjas. What is this, man? That's not oppression right there? That's oppression right there. Yeah, so Republicans abolished slavery. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. The Democrats wanted slavery. You have people called the Dixiecrats. That's, the like Strom Thurmond. That's Joe Biden's political predecessor. That was his mentor, Strom Thurmond. You have Republicans that also said that, like in the 30s, they said that they don't want black people to be Republicans. But you had a lot of famous black Republicans, like what's my man's name? I know this guy. Who's that? Anyways, Republicans are racist. Republicans aren't racist. You see, that's exactly the rhetoric right there. Why do you say Republicans are racist? Why are Republicans racist? I'm really interested to know if they catch the shooter, what their motivations were. Yeah, I want to know what's going on. Yeah, I want to know what's going on with this Charlie Kirk thing. I grew up hunting and have firearms. However, I do believe in licensing. It should be a driver's license. It should be like a driver's license. You should have to go learn safety, marksmanship, rules of engagement. Awesome. Definitely, I agree. Republicans are hunting down immigrants? You mean illegal immigrants? See, this is what they do. They conflate the word immigrant as this is illegal immigrants. This is immigrants. What do you mean hunting? They're not killing them. Yeah, as humans. Just like you don't want a human to just walk up in your house like, doo-doo-doo. You're going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Who are you? Use that same thought with your country as like your home. You don't want anybody to just walk up in your country. Doo-doo-doo. I'm going to live right here. Who are you? Where do you come from? What kind of history do you have in the country you came from? So that way we know who the hell we're dealing with. We don't want to just let in any pedophile or murderer into your country, just like you wouldn't allow any pedophile or murderer into your home. That's how the argument goes, and that's how you get shut down. Oh, they're all humans. Then just let humans come live with you in your home. This is how it works, man. Yeah, but you could use the analogy of your country in a house. It's the same thing. You need to protect your country just like you need to protect your house. You need to make sure that your country's safe just like you want to make sure your neighborhood is safe. Don't you want to make sure that the neighborhood that your house in is safe? Don't you want to make sure that the neighborhood that your house in is safe? You want to make sure that your house is safe, then you want to make sure the neighborhood your house in is safe. You want to make sure the city your neighborhood is in is safe. You want to make sure the state your city is in is safe. You want to make sure the state, your country, or the state your country is in is safe. And that's how it applies. Because if you care about your fellow humans, you wouldn't want to just have anybody just creeping up, coming into this country, thinking that they're going to have an opportunity by doing the bare minimum or robbing and stealing. At least if you're born in this country, you have a right. Let's do this shit the right way. We're not just going to have open borders. Like, this is how far left Democrats have gone. They want open borders, man. Just open the borders up. Just let everybody in here. Criminals that are vigilantes, fugitives. You're talking about, people run away from countries for a reason. People don't, sometimes people want to come to America because they want a better life. But don't you know, and stop being naive, don't you know that people want to come to America because they're running away from a situation in their country? And you don't think you want to know who these people are? Yo, stop with the bullshit. They're humans. Yeah. It matters. It matters that they do it the right way. There's a right way of coming in here. That's why they're just immigrants. Nobody's hunting down immigrants. Stop lying. They're trying to find illegal immigrants. And you know that. Stop conflating things because you want to win an argument. Shit's so silly, man. Listen, you ain't gonna do that with me. I know how to pick your stupid little argument apart. There's gray areas to everything, man. You're not gonna let people just come in willy-nilly in your crib and you don't know who they are. You wouldn't even want people to just come in and take over a random abandoned house. Would you want people in your neighborhood to just run in a random abandoned house that doesn't even belong to them and just start living there and start bringing anybody, and you don't even know if these people have a legitimate reason to be in there? And usually when you have people that, bro, listen, we don't even need to go down that extra line, bro. Every country has borders and rules to how they're going to run their country. There's actually protests going on right now. Let me show you something, D. Hogan. Do you know that there's protests going on right now in Mexico where Mexicans don't want Hondurans coming in? They don't want El Salvadorians coming in and Hondurans coming in and flooding. They're actually protesting against that, if you look into it. D. Hogan is a propagandized smooth brain just sitting at his keyboard thinking about Trump all day. Yeah, currently right now, there's protests going on in Mexico where they're saying they don't want Hondurans to come in. They want them out. And I think El Salvadorians and Guatemalans. Guatemala borders Mexico on the southeast. Okay, and then you got El Salvador, you got Belize, you got all these countries that go down in Central America that they all have laws and they all have borders and they all have border security. And they all have laws of how immigrants can come in, how long you can stay, you can come in and visit, but you can't overstay your visit. Just like, when you have somebody visit your house, maybe come visit and stay over your house. You might want somebody there for a week or two. Hey, you want to come through? I let a friend and his family of my I let one of my friends and his family stay with me and my family one time because they went on hard times, and they said it was going to be 3 months, and they stayed there for 8 months, and they overstayed their welcome. But I didn't kick them out because I knew them and I'm familiar with them, and I know that they weren't criminals. They were paying their rent. I know that they weren't going to do anything funny. I had trust. I used to work with them. We used to be neighbors, all this stuff. So then when you get to know somebody, it's a little different. But when you got somebody that you don't know just coming and staying over your house, they might have agendas. You've had that happen before, and people literally will take over your house and lock you out, change the locks. And, I've been living over here I've already established residency, it's called. They establish residency if they live or have stayed someplace for like a week. And legally in some states, you can't kick that person out. You got to go to the courts, and now you got to do all this extra stuff. It's just protecting your home, man, protecting your country. You're being biased by not pointing out the fact that other countries also have immigration laws. And what Biden did was allow a lot of immigrants who are not even paying taxes, illegal immigrants I'm talking about. When you allow illegal immigrants to come into this country, they don't pay taxes. Now, they might get paid under the table, use that money and put it into, different things because they need to buy soda or beer or water or milk and, regular commodities and stuff, everyday products. And they put that money into those businesses. They still aren't paying taxes, county taxes, state taxes, federal taxes. And we also don't know who the hell they are. So it's good to have a good understanding of who they are. That way, we can have more control of our own country. Otherwise, things are going to spiral out of control. That you have that happen in certain countries. You've had Egypt. How do you feel about Egypt closing their borders off to Palestine? How do you feel about that? Everybody wants to get on Israel. Nobody's saying shit about Egypt not wanting to help out Palestine, because they also know that Palestinians are wild, man. Palestinians are wild. You want to handle them with kid gloves. Oh, but they're victims because all this what, man? If it wasn't for Israel, Palestine wouldn't even have electricity, because Israel helps power Palestine's homes and everything on their dime. Did you know that? Did you know that gay Palestinians flee to Israel because they fear that one of their family members is going to kill them in an honor killing? If you know what an honor killing is. I don't know if you know about that. But the Palestinians that, you know, the Israelites are so, or what do you call it? The Jews are so evil. But what should we call it? America destabilizes other country, bro. The rhetoric, the far left liberal rhetoric is insane. If you read about Jesus, when the woman that came to Jesus in the book of Matthew chapter 15, there was a woman that came to Jesus begging for him to heal his daughter because she heard that Jesus has been healing people. There's a man healing people in this damn town, you know. And this is the Bible, man. you trying to push the Bible on me like I actually believe in all these things, and I don't. So I'm not a Christian. Got you. But I fucks with Christians. I don't think Christians are so religiously fucked like they were 200 years ago or 100 years ago, where they believed slavery was okay in God's eyes, you know. But, you know, you can literally read the Bible and, you know, there are laws for how to treat your slaves in the Bible. I just want people to know that, you know. So Martin Luther King believed in the Bible, then Martin Luther King should have known, you know, certain things in the Bible that God even is kind of for slavery. He's kind of for slavery if you look at it. How many times have the Israelites gone and tore down a town and then took the women alive only and killed all the men? You know, there's stories like that in the Bible. You know, but yeah, Jesus Christ actually initially dismissed a woman that had a sick child. Go read Matthew chapter 15, and you can start at verse 24. And the woman comes to Jesus and asks Jesus, "Can you help me? My daughter's unclean. She's sick, whatever. She has some type of sickness." And Jesus Christ didn't even answer her, walked away. The woman walked towards him and started pleading, "Please, please, please." And the disciples said to Jesus, "Can you send her away? Get her away. She's bothering us." And then Jesus said to her, "I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel," which means I only came for the Israelites, you know, which means, you know, I'm not here to help you, your people. I'm here to help my people. Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. Go ahead and read that. That might blow your mind. Then eventually, you know, he blesses her and says, all right, whatever. When she admits that she's a dog and not one of the children of God. I mean, I'm just reading what the scripture says. But yeah. Yeah. There should be a safe and reasonable process. Mayan, I love your comment. There should be a safe and reasonable process for immigrants to come into the country legally. Pin the comment, baby. Yep, I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. Let's get these likes going, baby. Racists use the Bible for slavery in America. Jesus didn't turn her away permanently. Yeah, but Jesus still said, I'm not sent. So I didn't come. I wasn't sent only for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And Jesus Christ had God had a chosen people too. Didn't God choose Israel? Didn't God kill every firstborn of the Egyptians because of Pharaoh? So because of what Pharaoh did, God killed every firstborn of the Egyptians because he loved his people, the Israelites, the children of Israel. My firstborn, he said in Exodus chapter 20. Israel is my son. Exodus chapter 4, verse 20. Israel is my son, even my firstborn. Touch not mine anointed. But, there's different stories about Jesus. That's what I believe about the Bible. You have 4 different Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, that are 4 different testaments of what Jesus Christ did and said and how he was killed, especially how he was killed and the things he said while he was on the cross. You can find like 3 or 4 different accounts if you go into what Jesus Christ's last words were on the cross. Now, people like to read it and say, well, he said this, and then he also said that. So they take one from John, they take Matthew, they take Mark, and they kind of pile them on top of each other instead of looking at the stories like how you would look at a story if you asked 2 different witnesses what happened. There was a car accident. What happened? You ask 2 different witnesses, you separate them so you can hear their individual story. And then when you get their stories, if they don't match, there's something wrong. That's what you're supposed to do with the gospel. They don't do that. They take one story and they pile it on top. Well, he said, Father, why have thou forsaken me? And then he said, it is done. Like, that's not how it goes in every book, in every story. It says different things in every story. So one would have to assume that the person that wrote each story had a different story. They had a different account of the story. But I'm just saying, religion is bad. I mean, I wouldn't say religion is bad. You see, there's people, I don't know. I don't like that either. That's like Antifa. You sound like you're a good candidate for Antifa, man. They might recruit you. Be careful. They're going to recruit your ass, brother. I'm joking with you. I appreciate your comments, even though we don't agree. But I'm not going to shoot you. Man, that's a sad thing. But yeah, I'm with you on it. Trust me. When I was in a cult, the Hebrew Israelites, the black Hebrew Israelites. I used to be in the streets saying the white man is the devil, yo, and America is gonna burn. America's Babylon. I used to say all that stuff, man. Ask some of the people in the comment section. They'll tell you. Then I left the cult. I escaped, mentally deprogrammed. And what's the first thing I did? It started becoming more political. I started watching Jon Stewart and The Daily Show. And I started following the left, the Democrats, the socialist Democrats, the democratic socialists, the new age progressives. And I was believing that they had good arguments for what we should do politically to put this country in the best direction. People like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC from New York, she is a representative that pretty much oversees certain community, what's the word? Community stuff in Queens, New York. All right. She's over a certain district called Central Queens. My neighborhood, Elmhurst, Corona, Astoria, I believe. So she, when Trump became president, she went to go visit the cells out at the border, and they wanted to see the families and everything that were being held in these prisons, pretty much, in cages at the border. And she made a big spectacle because Trump is in office. But the same thing was going on when Obama was in office. He was the one that actually got the money together to get the cages. He's the one that put all that together. Because everybody knows, even Barack Obama, that you cannot let your immigration issue, or you can't let immigration get to be such a big issue when you're running a country. It's just gonna destroy your country from the inside out. It's an economical thing that I don't even know the full science behind it, but I know that it just destroys countries from within if you let it get out of control in many different ways. Not only some of the things that I mentioned about not paying taxes, but the fact that you're letting in people that are unvetted. That's not good. At least if you're born in this country, we got a good history of who you are, and and you're a citizen, so you're gonna have the privilege. You're gonna have certain rights. So it's a whole big issue when you have kids that are born here, and then you got parents that are not. That's where the issue seems to be coming in. The parents knew what they were doing. They put themselves in that situation. We have to start holding people accountable for their own actions. One thing that I noticed that Democrats don't do is hold people accountable, especially when it's people that vote more Democratic. So immigrants, Hispanics, black people, they like to always create excuses for the issues in their community, because without issues, you're not going to have the opportunity to fix the problem. So politicians are problem fixers, right? So if you make the problems go away, then you don't need politicians anymore. So politicians benefit off of there being more problems. I don't think that the direction that Trump is going in is because he wants to cause more problems in this country. I think he legitimately wants to put more order, is what I'm seeing. He's actually putting more order into the country. And order is good, because without order, there's chaos. And I mean, listen, man, I can agree with Democrats on some things, but they are dead wrong on the immigration issue. Dead wrong. You can't tell me nothing. I mean, obviously it's my opinion, and I'm gonna defend it. But Trump defrauded American contractors. Trump needs to be held accountable. Trump is a criminal. I don't think Trump is a criminal. I don't think so. Well, I mean, I guess you could call him a criminal because of the hush money with paying off. Paying off what's her name? I forget her name, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's some people commit crimes. I've committed crimes before. I don't think I'm a criminal, especially some of these petty crimes. Like, that's a petty crime, man. One thing that Democrats do, and you sound like you're the type of person that doesn't care about petty crimes, but all of a sudden when Trump does a little hush money for a porn star, you're like, oh my God, that is the end of the world. Aren't you kind of okay with like people stealing and shit if they're hungry? Like, that's how Democrats are. They're like, okay, well, he's just stealing bread. He's hungry. Like, Democrats don't care. That's a slap in the wrist. You get a Democratic judge and you stole some food, they're going to let you off, man. It depends. Now, if you start letting people just get off for stealing and people just keep stealing, you're going to put supermarkets that feed your community out of business. So we got to consider that. That's why it's not good to just look at these. Oh, he just crossed the border. That's no big deal. That's not a criminal. No, yeah, he is. That's an illegal. Listen, I got you. If if you don't like, or if you are okay with illegal immigrants, which is a crime, which would make them criminals, why are you so opposed to the crimes, that Trump has done? That he was arrested. We got his mugshot. I forgot what the penalty was, but these aren't felonies, right? Or is it? No, I think it was a felony. So yeah, he is a felon. Convicted felon. I'll tell you what. The policies is what I'm more. If I always said that I care about policies. What are you gonna do for the country? What can you do for us, for the people? And that's what's most important. The hush money stuff that he got from campaign, that's not right. I mean, first of all, the campaigning in this country for like what, a year, 2 years, people be campaigning for a year, 2 years, and get all these campaign funds, all this money that goes into running for president and all of that. That's another thing I don't like about this country. And it becomes like a heavyweight, division title, and it's even more than that. It becomes expensive. You got millions of dollars coming in to support a campaign so they can run ads to try to sway voters their way. There's got to be a better way to do this, man. Like, shorten the whole campaign trail. We don't need a whole year of people. I don't know. That's how it is, though. Yeah, I know. People care about the white collar crimes more, right? I care about the rich people crimes too, like Wall Street, right? But like the Wall Street inside trading and all this manipulating of the stock market, and getting around paying taxes by scheming and doing different things, and there's all types of stuff that big money, the rich people, the crimes, that's bad. The thing is that poor people commit more crimes, so when you start adding it up, it becomes worse than the little bit of crimes that are being committed by rich people, because when you have more crimes being committed by poor people, it's going to start to affect more people than just poor people. But let's keep an eye on all this shit. Yeah, man. There were crimes committed by Obama that he hasn't been tried for. What was the thing that they did with Trump, where Obama could be charged for some type of campaign lies and stuff. I don't know how to word it, but they kept the lie going that there was Trump-Russia collusion, and they were talking about that for years, that Trump and Russia colluded to steal the election. MSNBC ran that story for years, and they had to. They look stupid. I mean, Rachel Maddow or whatever the hell. She swore that there was a P tape. Remember the P tape? Like, there's so much. You have to realize that there's a big bias against Trump, and you have to be careful what you think is true, because you're constantly getting fed shit that's actually a lie. They lied about Trump colluding with Russia to steal the election. And not only did they know that wasn't true, they continue to push that story, and Obama was all behind that. and nobody. But that doesn't do away with what the other person did. But I like to show the hypocrisy. But yeah, let's call everybody out. But Charlie Kirk wasn't dividing. He wasn't divisive. I don't think. I think that he was just a powerful speaker, just like anybody else. We could consider Malcolm X divisive. Malcolm X was very divisive, actually. He was constantly putting people against each other racially. Wasn't making the situation any better. And at the time, there were many white people that were willing to agree with him and tell him, yes, we've done some atrocities. I'm sorry. How can we make this better and move forward? And Malcolm X would have been, before he woke up, right before he died, and started thinking more rationally, Malcolm X would have been like, fuck you. I don't want to shake your hand. We'll do better without you. We want to segregate. It's a different time. It might have been reasonable or understandable at that time to some people. But the time that we're living in today, let's not lie to each other and make it seem like black people are being systemically oppressed. This is the common lie being told by black people sometimes in positions of power in big news networks like Don Lemon. Yeah, as a black man, I feel like I can't get the best opportunity. You're a fucking anchor at CNN. Now, you were a horrible anchor and you were fired, Don Lemon. But you got him talking to Morgan Freeman like, oh, what do you think about it? You think things are bad? And he's like, no, man. He's like, look at you, look at me. He's like, there's opportunities out here. More opportunities in this country than any other country. I would say, I'll say that there are more rich, that the richest black people in the world are black Americans. That's the richest black people in the world. But you would think that the most oppressed black people in the world are black Americans. You would think that the most oppressed people in the world are black Americans. If you listen to MSNBC and Al Sharpton, these maniacs, Ben Crump, that they want to hype up the beef in the hood between the cops and the criminals, and try to make it seem like the cops are the criminals, the cops are the enemies, and everybody else, they're just trying to just live their life. It's just petty crimes of drug dealing and heroin selling in your neighborhood. It's just petty crimes. It's just little crimes that poor people do. There's like this demonization of people with money too. Like, people that have money constantly demonized. Like, oh, you're a rich person. Like, damn, yo, now you vilifying me because I got money? Jesus Christ. That's what happens. Oh, spread that money around. There's too many poor people. Motherfucker, get your own money up. That's like the socialist way of thinking. You want the rich people to share their money with you because they got so much of it. It's up to them if they want to do that or not. Rich people already pay the majority of the taxes in this country. 54% of the taxes are paid by like 5% or 2%. Some very small percentage of the population pay 54% of the taxes. 55% of the taxes. That's a big chunk. More than half of the taxes in this country are paid by a very small percentage of the population. So rich people could complain, oh, well, we pay more taxes than the poor. Oh, you got more money. Well, we pay more taxes. We got more to worry about. People got to run their own business. Poor people don't got to worry about none of that shit. People that run businesses create jobs for poor people. Now, if you don't want to work for people that got money, create your own business. That's why this country is great. Go ahead, create your own business. Make your own money. You don't need the government permission to you got to get certain licenses depending on what you want to do, just to make sure everything's safe and secure and you're doing the right thing. But there's governments that run societies and the whole, people's businesses. They want a part of people's business, like in China. They'll just take a percentage of your business because they're the government. It's a communist. That's what communism is. You guys, some of you guys on the left have been influenced by socialists and communists. And you want the means of production to be ran by the people or be owned by the people. And you don't want no CEOs. You don't want no millionaires, no billionaires. There shouldn't be no millionaires. People got too much money. Well, that's what a free society, that's the result of a free society. It's you're going to have people that excel, and more money, creates more money. And now you got more money, and the more money you have, the more money you can make now. Because it takes money to make money sometimes. Basically all the time. Abolish the IRS, says Zebra69. Majority of the taxes paid by the top 1% of earners. This isn't fair. Charge everyone the same flat tax and no refund checks. Whew. I don't know. I never thought about that, But here we go. Mayan says, would you not agree that the decision of a U.S. president can negatively affect the country as well? Yeah. The decision. Yeah. That's what I'm most, worried about is how is it going to affect the country? What is it that a president's going to do that's going to affect the country? If he's having an affair, yeah, that's not good. If he's using money that was supposed to be used for the campaign to do other things, it's not a good thing to do that. It's defraud. You're never going to agree with everything that one person does or says, and that's the thing about you having to vote for a president is that you don't have to try to argue for, and excuse the bad things that they do. You got people trying to do that and trying to cover for bad things the president does. Like, I don't want to hide this shit. I'm not going to cover like this shit that Donald Trump has said. That's ridiculous and is embarrassing. When I tell people I would rather have Donald Trump over Biden, now it's like, oh, well, look what Donald Trump said. And it's like, I know I don't agree with that, what he said, that Haitians eating the cats and the dogs and all that. Like, he said some dumbass shit, I think he don't think about what he's saying, because he could have, there was just, I don't know, man. I forgot how that shit even came up in Ohio. Like, why did that even come up? Like, that whole stupid, that shit really kind of pissed me off, actually, because that was like right before voting time. And I was like, nigga, you fucking up. But I was like, he's still gonna win. Because, you got to look at some of the crazy shit that Biden said and done. Smelling little kids' hair and trying to kiss little young 12-year-old girls and stuff at photo ops, rubbing on them. He's a weirdo, man. But, if you want to talk about personality-wise, like, that's crazy. That's weird. But if you want to talk about this, policies, that's what I care about. What are you going to do for the country? Where's our money going to go? What you going to do about crime? How you going to handle, whatever, the economy right now? Malls are going out of business. The malls are dying out in this country. E-commerce businesses, right? And e-commerce like Amazon or Alibaba in the UK, where people shop online, has become more appealing, because you don't have to go out to the store. But some people like doing that so they could try on the clothes and it's better fit. But if you can buy the same clothes at the convenience of your home, pushing a button, you get it in the mail in a day or 2 or 3. shit, and you don't got to deal with people, especially during the 2020 whole pandemic. People weren't trying to go out like that, man. So it became a big thing. Everybody was ordering online. That's all you could do. Um, so I remember Andrew Yang was running for president in 2016. Remember Andrew Yang, the Asian? Andrew Yang had some good ideas. He was a Democrat. We mentioned him earlier because he was running on that MLK. God damn, I forget the name of that program that Andrew Yang was pushing, man. Somebody help me. Well, how does Trump's policy hurt regular people? Nepotism needs to be outlawed. Trump was friends with Epstein. Bro, everybody was friends with Epstein. And then Trump, and there's a history of this, the Trump-Epstein thing is a farce, man. That's really spiraling into a conspiracy theory on its own. They had a falling out in West Palm Beach before Epstein was accused in Royal West Palm Beach of all the crazy shit that he was able to get off because he had the police chief in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach in his pocket, if you know that story. Now, we know Trump was also in West Palm, Mar-a-Lago. Is that West Palm? Yeah, I believe Trump at least owns property out there. But he had a golf course, right? He has a golf course. And Epstein was kicked out of there because he was trying to do something. I forgot what it was with some of the people that worked there. The girls, like young teens, I believe. So he heard like somebody accused Epstein of something, and he was banned from Trump's Mar-a-Lago thing. And they didn't have contact ever since. That was like 2009. And I think Epstein was accused and convicted of certain things in like 2012. Epstein had the power of attorney over the CEO of Victoria's Secret. How the hell does that happen, yo? You heard? Did you guys know that? Epstein had the power of attorney. Do you know what that means? That he can legally make decisions. He can go in his bank account. He can do anything. The dude was getting old. I don't know what was going on with Epstein and the CEO of Victoria's Secret. Not the founder of Victoria's Secret, but the CEO at the moment. Because the founder committed suicide and jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge of Victoria's Secret. But whoever bought the company later on, whatever, he turned it into a big franchise. And that dude killed himself because he sold it for like $1 million, the franchise. Then he had the power of attorney over that. He was making moves with Bill Gates in the stock market. He was invested heavy in Microsoft. That's Epstein. That could have easily been inside trading going on right there. So much shit, man. Bill Gates is a funny character. That's a guy you got to watch right there that nobody's talking about. Why do people stop talking about Bill Gates now? Yeah. Then you got the tapes that Ghislaine Maxwell admitted that she never, there's audio of her saying that she never seen Trump do anything inappropriate. There was never been anything, like that. She could, easily save herself by ratting people out. But it's whatever. Then you had victims. You had prosecutors that said that Trump was an open book when it came to Epstein. He never had anything to hide. The people that investigated the whole thing, they never had anything to hide. There's Epstein files that have been declassified for a long time now. What people like to talk about an Epstein list, if you search, was there ever an Epstein list, or Google that, There's never been any evidence of a list that Epstein kept. I don't know how that even got started, but when you look that up, there's actually no evidence that there was like some type of list with a client name or anything like that. Like, you know, I mean, I can't say that there's any evidence. I gotta go by what they say. We all do. So that's where the mix-up comes up now, because people are like, oh, they're hiding the list. There's a list. And it's like, I think you're just talking about Epstein files. There's things all up in there, all types of stuff, you know, witness testimonies, and all types of evidence that puts Epstein at the top of a whole pedophile ring. Crazy shit, right? With Ghislaine Maxwell as his lady friend that recruits, his recruiter. It's like a cult. Cult recruits people to recruit other people, and those people might recruit other people. And now the leader of the cult sits back and doesn't have to recruit nobody because recruits are recruiting other people, and he's, you know, and that's how it goes. Lady Ghislaine. That bitch right there, still alive, man. That's what I want to know. I want to hear her fucking testimony. I want to hear her tell all. We got to get more information from her. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. Going back, I have to say, just repeat why I started this live stream tonight. Just wanted to talk about what's going on with this political environment right now. Let's try to look at each other like humans, you know? We're all human beings, man. Okay, one person, you might say, oh, he's a racist human being. Yo, guess what? In America, you have the right to be racist. It's not a crime to be racist, even if you believe that he's a racist. I was a racist at some point. I hated white people, even though I'm very white, as you can see. But, you know, this society and I guess the environment I was around made me believe that I'm blacker than I really am. And I got caught up in an identity cult, that's what it's called. The Hebrew Israelite identity cults. And I used to be very racist against white people. I used to be out in the streets screaming about white people being racist. America's going to hell in a handbasket. And then I changed. And now I'm honest about what's actually happening, and there's issues in my community and the black community, which wants to constantly accuse white people of being the enemy of everybody and everything, you know, and Black Lives Matter, and you got all this push for everything's racialized, and if you don't agree with Black Lives Matter, you're racist. And that's the perfect way to put people to agree with you. And it's the perfect way to put people to agree with you, pretty much, because of fear of being labeled and even being mislabeled. But yeah, there's a cult that still operates called the ICGJC, the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ. And there's people that can testify of that right here. They know that I was in there. I was in there with them. I started this channel back in 2017. You can scroll down and don't accuse me of lying. All you got to do is go to my channel, scroll to the old videos, and I started this channel because I used to be in a cult. And the way that you spell the word your is actually with an E and an apostrophe. When you use it, Y-O-U-R, that's the possessive form of the word your. So I'm gonna need you to fix that up. Victims pointing out Trump. What's the name of the victim that pointed out Trump? What are you talking about? People just be lying. But Yeah, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, man. He was murdered by crazy political uh, extremists, is what I'm guessing. I don't have any information. I'm going to look it up in a minute. You know, start looking at people like regular human beings, man. You know, sometimes you watch people on your phone and they're not in your face in real life, and you don't really treat them like a real person. You don't treat them like you would treat a real person that will be right in front of you. You know, you think it's like a fairy tale almost. Like you don't even know how to act because all you see is just this image that seems like a movie to you. It's like you need to be in the right side of history, and you got to be against Trump. I hate you, Trump. I'm against you. Get out of this country. Get out of the White House. We want Obama back. Nah, I'm telling you, the people that are really on the far left and the far right, I think also, but you know, I'm constantly hearing about the far left. You know, most people around me are Democrats, and some of them tend to be very, very radical, very far left. They don't want any government. Um, they don't want any cops. They want limited government. I mean, I guess that's not such a wild idea if you can create some other thing to replace it, something else. But how are you going to do that when there's so much history and already just the foundation is laid out for how we police this country? What are we going to do? Get social workers without weapons to come and deal with these maniacs out here in the streets? We're going to abolish the police and it's just going to be like Mad Max, or the Road Warrior out here. Mad Max rules. That's literally what some of these people want. That's what these Antifa types want. They don't want. They want anarchy. Is what they want. They don't want to be controlled. They don't want any control. Pink Floyd. Go look up their political leanings, man. Their political beliefs. The band Pink Floyd. We don't need no education. Boom, boom. We don't need. Yep. But rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. That was, you know, today's gonna change, you know, the country for the rest of its existence, man. It's a big day, man. I know that for the rest of my life, that Charlie Kirk incident is going to be spoken about. And I just fear that people sometimes don't understand these are real humans with real feelings and families, and you know they're gonna have their political beliefs, and you can't stop people from teaching and speaking in public forums. You can't stop that. I mean, you can try. I guess you can stop them, but you know, at what cost? Having to murder somebody because they're your political opponent, or you don't agree with them politically. You know, you already have 4 years of Trump. You know, you're gonna have another 4 years. You might as well deal with it. The country's gonna be okay. Don't let these people fear-monger you into believing that country will be destroyed because, you know, Donald Trump has it out for everybody, and he doesn't know all this shit. It's like, come on, man. The policies that are being put into place, you're gonna see down the road is gonna do nothing but help this country unless it gets undone by a future administration, which is very possible. But I feel like the immigration laws, that what's being done with immigration, it's extreme, but it's needed for now. This is not something that needs to continue on for you know, decades. But right now it's good. It's at least taking a break from the influx and the flooding that's been coming into the damn country, to this whole country through the border for the last 4 years. There was no control. And yeah, bringing the National Guard to DC, Chicago, I'm for all that, man. Bring them to Memphis, bring them to Detroit, bring them to Baltimore. The cities with the worst crime rate, murder rate, violence. Put some boots on the ground, man. Get these people, you know, in check. Because people are going to be less likely to commit a crime if they're in the presence of law enforcement. That's just a fact. But it's been good, you know, doing this live. Had a good time. Been a pleasure talking to y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. We'll see. Maybe this weekend. Might You might see me do a little walk and talk. Maybe through downtown Orlando, or maybe through a new location that we never been to before. So thank y'all for checking in. San Miguel TV, I'm out. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. 1.